Perfect.
This kombucha is pretty good, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
So, Ginger Lemon by Vita Life.
Huh.
Got it from Aldi.
Oh,
Only like
nice.
$2.
Wow.
I know. Aldi's the best, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So we left off. We already read Genesis 40. Joseph interprets two prisoners' dreams. So I figured we could just scroll down and recap it real quick.
Hold up. What one were we on? I gotta pull it up on mine.
Genesis 40.
Genesis 40. Okay. Yeah, I think I read this one. I kind of remember doing this.
Yeah, we read it. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was favorable, he said to Joseph, I also had a dream. There were 3 cake baskets on my head, and in the uppermost basket, there were all sorts of baked food for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating out of it. And he said, in 3 days, Pharaoh will lift your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat the flesh from you. So
Didn't
basically,
you send me something the other day on like Facebook, I think, of someone talking about how this is like also a representation of the coming of Jesus?
yes, 100%. So the
Yeah.
cupbearer survives, because the cupbearer was also the guy in prison, but he ends up surviving. So the cupbearer surviving represents, like, it has to do with the blood of Jesus, since he said, "This is the wine, for it is my blood." Yada yada. I don't remember all the words, but that represents, like, the cupbearer living on represents us living on through Jesus's salvation, and the body being his bread, or the bread being his body, represents that the physical will die and we will basically pass on to more of the spiritual. It was something to that effect. I don't remember exactly, but I do believe I sent it to you. It was really interesting how this basically foreshadowed that without
Yeah.
even realizing it. I mean, this happened so much more long ago than Jesus is coming, right? I mean, it happened way before Jesus is coming, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, and it was really fascinating, and that's the really cool thing about reading the Bible, which I know we've talked about several times, is like the more you read it, or like even if you go back and reread something, you learn something new every single time.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy, and I love seeing these reels of people, like, having these realizations or being able to describe it in that way, because like we would probably not even see that for a long time.
Well, I always thought that was kind of a brutal story. It's like, man, it sucks to be the cupbearer. What'd he do? Or not the cupbearer, but the other guy.
The baker, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, man, that sucks, dude. What do you deserve that? You know?
Yeah.
But
So
it's
yeah, it was really interesting. And what I do think would be cool, like moving forward with some of these videos, is like if we're not doing a study or in the middle of doing a study, we can actually pull up some of these videos. So like I save them on Facebook, so we could pull up Facebook and go over these reels and watch these videos and talk about them as well,
a
which
great
would be
idea.
really cool.
Yeah.
So
There is a
anyway,
lot of YouTubers that do that. They like react to stuff.
yeah, yeah. So if you see anything and save it, I mean, we can go back and forth, and now that
Yeah.
we know that we can both share screens and stuff,
So we're about to be
it'd
all
be
up
really
in the
cool.
Christian reaction YouTube space.
Oh yeah,
Ruslan, we're
100%.
coming for you.
Yeah, so we did read through this already. So we'll move on to 41. Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dreams. You mind if I take it away?
Now go for it.
Perfect. After 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing by the Nile, and behold, there came up out of the Nile 7 cows, attractive and plump, and they fed in the reed grass. Excuse me. And behold, 7 other cows, ugly and thin, came up out of the Nile after them, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the Nile. And the ugly, thin cows ate up the 7 attractive, plump cows. And Pharaoh awoke, and he fell asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears of grain, plump and good, were growing on one stalk. And behold, after them sprouted 7 ears, thin and blighted by the east wind. And the thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump, full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So in the morning, his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was none who could interpret them to Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I remember my offenses today. When Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put me and the chief baker in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, we dreamed on the same night, he and I, each having a dream with its own interpretation. A young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. When we told him, he interpreted our dreams to us, giving an interpretation to each man according to his dream. And as he interpreted to us, so it came about. I was restored to my office, and the baker was hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the pit. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream, I was standing on the banks of the Nile. 7 cows, plump and attractive, came out of the Nile and fed in the reed grass. 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and thin, such as I had never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the thin, ugly cows ate up the first 7 plump cows. But when they had eaten them, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were still as ugly as at the beginning. Then I awoke. I also saw in my dream 7 ears growing on one stalk, full and good. 7 ears withered, thin, and blighted by the east wind, sprouted after them, and the thin ears swallowed up the 7 good ears. And I told it to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh, God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them there will arise 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. The famine will consume the land, and the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of the famine that will follow, for it will be very severe. And the And the doubling of Pharaoh's dream means that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it about. Now, therefore, let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land, and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the cities, and let them keep it. That food shall be a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through the famine. Joseph rises to power. This proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards to only as regards the throne will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot. And they called out before him, "Bow the knee." Thus he set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, and without your consent, no one shall lift up hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephanath, Zephanath Paneah, and he gave him in marriage Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. So Joseph went out over the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went through all the land of Egypt. During the 7 plentiful years, the earth produced abundantly, and he gathered up all the food of these 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the cities. He put in every city the food from the fields around it. And Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he ceased to measure it, for it could not be measured. Before the year of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph. Aseneth, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bore them to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for he said, "God has made me forget all my hardship and all my father's house." The name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. The 7 years of plenty that occurred in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began to come, as Joseph had said. There was famine in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. When all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph. What he says to you, do." So when the famine had spread over all the land, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Moreover, all the earth came to Egypt to Joseph to buy grain, because the famine was severe over all the earth. Wow.
A lot of reading you did there.
Yeah. I figured keep with the like we each read a chapter.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to cover in that? I mean, that's just a really cool story.
Yeah. No, and it gets cooler too as we keep
Yeah.
going. Not really, other than I think it's interesting that it does mention that Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of the Pharaoh. Because at this point, Joseph has really gone through it. And he's had the anointing of God on his hand throughout his life, right? But then also he keeps getting beaten down. But at this point, it sticks. Now he's working for Pharaoh, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
He's 30 years old when he calls it. I think Jesus was around 30 years old when his ministry started. And it seems like there's multiple people in the Bible that really start off when they're 30. It seems to be that age
Hmm.
of sticking. Just
Interesting.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of gets us to look forward to getting to our 30s, right?
Yeah. The only thing that can make us look forward to being 30.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
still
really
got a
cool
while.
too that you see that Joseph's gone through these tribulations and has still kept his faith in God, and God has delivered him. Like he
Mhm.
really like blessed him abundantly. And I think the point of that is we all go through some hardships in our lives, and we just have to count our blessings and keep our faith
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah, definitely, and don't look back either,
Right, right. Yeah, that's why he named his children the way he did, because he was, delivered from his father's house or something like that.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
cool.
I mean, yeah, because I think we had talked about this last time, but just imagine what was going through his head that whole time.
Right. Yeah, like while he's in prison and stuff,
Yeah.
and like the events leading up to that.
Yeah, yeah, like I made the joke about, like, how he was probably thinking, "Man, I should've just slept with the wife," you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which in one way is, like, clearly it's good that he didn't do that, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, his fleshly mind was probably thinking that. I mean, he's in prison. He's already gotten sold into slavery by his brothers, right? Became a slave. Kinda got lucky being a certain type of slave, right? But then was like, "No, I'm not gonna sleep with my slaveholder's wife. That's just not a good idea,
Right.
clearly." But then, I mean, he's probably really going through it when he's in jail,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? Just thinking about everything, man, like, he was realistically probably getting a little bitter in there, It's still holding on to God's hope and whatnot. Um, but, I mean, everybody doubts, you know? It's really easy to doubt. I'm sure he probably doubted when he was in there too.
Right. Yeah, but it seems like he did keep his faith strong in the end.
Oh, he definitely kept his faith strong, and God promised him for that.
Right. Yeah.
Or God came through for him for that,
Right.
and that's
Exactly.
important. And that's also, I think, to say. I mean, it's not saying that he was in jail being bitter or whatever. I mean, that's just speculation, right?
Right.
But that is a good lesson to keep faith throughout any of that thought process.
Right. Exactly.
You can
And
sit
like
there
you
and, oh yeah, what go for it?
I was gonna circle back to like the fleshly desires thing, because that's what Jesus teaches us is to deny
Right,
our fleshly desires, our flesh, our bodies and stuff. And as hard as that is, that's kind of like a sacrifice that we're making to prove our faith to
right.
So it's really important to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. You got to keep your faith going, even in the hardest times, even when it
Yeah,
doesn't seem like God's there.
right. Exactly.
And hopefully he'll bless us like he blessed Joseph.
Absolutely. He will. He
Yeah.
will. God loves us.
Yep. All right, let's keep going. I'll take this one away. Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. Dun dun dun. Have you read this
Mm.
part before or no?
No, this is all
Oh,
new to
oh,
me.
so you're buckling up then. The
Oh
same
yeah.
brothers that sold him into slavery. Whew,
Yeah.
goes to Egypt. Oh boy. Now that he's like pretty much second in command there.
Yeah.
Right. When Jacob learned that there was grain for sale in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you look at one another?" And he said, "Behold, I have heard that there is grain for sale in Egypt. Go down and buy grain for us there, that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with his brothers, for he feared that harm might happen to him. Thus the sons of Israel came to buy among the others who came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brother came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. Prophecy literally coming true right there. That was the dream that he had that pissed
Yep.
him off. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke roughly to them. "Where do you come from?" he said. And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." And Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams that he had dreamed of them. And he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." They said to him, "No, my lord. Your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants have never been spies." He said to them, "No, it's the nakedness of the land that you have come to see." And they said, "We, your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is no more." But Joseph said to them, "It is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother while you remain confined, that your words may be tested whether there is truth in you. Or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." And he put them all together in custody for 3 days. Getting a little bit of a tasty revenge on him.
Yeah, man, he's dealing a little. I don't know if I want to say harshly. I mean, it's not like
I
he
mean,
killed him,
wouldn't
but
you be a little bit bitter? I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, I didn't expect Joseph to be as bitter as this, but I mean, to be fair, yeah, I
We're all
probably would
human,
be
man.
too.
He was thrown in jail, like the sold into
Sold into
slavery. I mean,
slavery.
come on,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
All right, I'll
it's
keep
true.
going. I'll keep going. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers remain confined where you are in custody, and let the rest go and carry grain for the famine of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me. So your words will be verified, and you shall not die." And they did so. Then they said to one another, "In truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, and that we saw the distress of his soul, when he begged us and we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them, "Did I not tell you to not sin against the boy? But you did not listen. So now there comes a reckoning for his blood." They did not know that Joseph understood them, for there was an interpreter between them. Then he turned away from them and wept. And he returned to them and spoke to them. And he took Simon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and to replace every man's money in his sack and to give them provisions for the journey. This was done for them. So Joseph's like, sees that they're regretful. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is interesting." Yeah.
Who's the one that was weeping? That one was a little confusing to me. And he turned away from them and wept. They did not
Joseph.
know that Joseph. Oh,
I think
interesting.
that's it. They did not know that Joseph understood them, for there was an interpreter between them. And then he turned away from them and wept. Joseph was the one weeping.
Mm.
He saw that they were filled with regret.
Hmm.
Probably his bitterness hitting him, you know?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, man, why was I so mean to them?
Maybe. I don't
Mm,
know. I
yeah,
don't know. It's interesting though, right? That would be
yeah,
pretty emotionally provoking.
yeah.
Yeah. But then right after that, Joseph gave them orders to fill their bags with grain, replace every man's money in his sack, give them provisions,
Yeah.
All right, I'll keep going. Then they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. And as one of them opened his sack to give the donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money in the mouth of his sack. He said to his brothers, "My money has been put back. Here it is in the mouth of my sack." Sorry, y'all.
Oh.
I am a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
At this, their hearts failed them, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to Jacob, their father, in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, the Lord of the land, spoke roughly to us and took us to be spies of the land. But we said to him, we're honest men. We have never been spies. We're 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. Then the man of the Lord said to us, by this I shall know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for the famine of your household, and go your way. Bring your youngest brother to me. Then I shall know that you are not spies, but honest men, and I will deliver your brother to you, and you shall trade in the land. As they emptied their sacks, behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And so I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It was in his sack.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
Hey, man. Jesus does talk about how we should be children at heart.
Jesus is laughing right now. I already know he's up there cracking up. All right. And when they saw their fathers, and when they and their father saw their bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob, their father, said to them, you have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simon is no more. And now you would take Benjamin? All this has come against me. Then Reuben said to his father, kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you. But he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm should happen to him on the journey that you are to make, you would bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to Sheol.
Dang. So they had one mission to bring their little brother back, and their father's like, nope.
Well, they haven't brought the little brother back yet. Like, they just went back to the father to say what Joseph had said to them. They're like, we need to bring the youngest. The youngest wasn't there in the first place.
Right. I thought the youngest.
I thought I turned this off. You see?
Oh, I'm not looking.
No, the thumbs up just popped up again.
Oh.
I don't know, man. Sorry, what were you going to say?
What it is. I guess I'm a little confused about the beginning of this because it says, hold on, let me read it here. But Jacob, that's their father, right?
That's
did not send Benjamin.
Yes.
So Benjamin should be at the house with them, right?
He's still with Jacob. So when the 10 brothers return, 9 brothers, because I think they kept Reuben, or not Reuben, Simon.
Right. Simeon. I think so.
Yeah, I believe Simeon stayed there.
But then oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. Joseph is no more, which we know Joseph is. Simeon is no more, which is the guy who remained with Joseph in Egypt. And now you would take Benjamin. Okay.
Yeah, so he's thinking that his
Benjamin is with them.
Benjamin is with Jacob. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Simeon is with
Joseph in Egypt.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
So at this point, Jacob's like, man, and he didn't even trust the sons to bring his youngest son along in the first place. All right. So now he's saying, well, I got to send him back with you. Like, he's going to die.
Yeah, right.
I got to give him to you. And I just lost Simeon as well. I already lost Joseph. Every time something you boys do something, I lose one of my brothers, or you lose one of my sons.
Right. Yeah.
So he doesn't want to lose any more sons.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
All right, you want to read this next one, or you want me to keep going?
I can read the next one. It's fine.
All right.
Joseph's brothers returned to Egypt. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten the grain that they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again, buy us a little food." But Judah said to him, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.'" Israel said, "Why did you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had another brother?" They replied, "The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' What we told him was an answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" And Judah said to Israel, his father, "Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be a pledge of his safety. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice." Their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry a present down to the man: a little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother and arise, go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, and may he send back your other brother and Benjamin. And as for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved." So the men took this present, and they took double the money with them and Benjamin. They arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph told him and brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house. And they said, "It is because of the money which was replaced in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may assault us and fall upon us to make us servants and seize our donkeys." So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the door of the house and said, "Oh, my lord, we came down the first time to buy food. And when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each man's money in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. So we have brought it again with us, and we have brought other money down with us to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks." He replied, "Peace to you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. And when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they had washed their feet, and when he had given their donkeys fodder, they prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon. For they had heard that they should eat bread there. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present that they had with them, and bowed down to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare and said, "Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant, our father, is well. He is alive." And they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried out, for his compassion grew warm for his brother, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and controlling himself, he said, "Serve the food." They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they drank and were merry with him.
Dude, at this point, Joseph is kind of like relishing in this a little bit. He's like, man, I got my Egyptian power. Still hasn't revealed himself. I think it's interesting. He's like testing their character in a way. He's
Mhm.
seeing what they're all about.
Yeah. Probably trying to see if they're the same shady brothers that he knew that sold
Yeah.
him into slavery,
Yeah.
you know?
Also, can you imagine what the brothers are thinking at this point? They're probably like, man, we're probably going to die. And
Yeah.
then they go
Yeah.
in and then they're getting fed this massive feast
Right?
and they're being treated nicely. And all of a sudden, their other brother that's always getting treated better than them is getting treated better again.
Yeah. 5
Eh,
times as much food.
5 times as much they're given to, what was his name? What's the youngest brother? Benjamin.
Benjamin. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, that is kind of interesting because now Joseph is really testing them at that point because he is putting Benjamin in that place where he's being favored yet again.
Right.
So it's just like him. It's like, are they treating Benjamin just like they treated me? Or has their hearts changed? Have they learned from their mistake that they made with me?
Right. Yeah. Hopefully at this point they would have learned. I mean, even their father was like, "Dude, you better bring him back."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, the father went with him this time though, because he's like, I'm not trusting you guys. I'm going.
wait. He went with them?
Yeah. I don't think he's at this dinner, but he went with him, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Didn't
Let's
it
see.
say?
The famous.
Okay, no, just the brothers that you are to make, then I would bring. Okay, no. Sorry. You're right. You're right. So he's not there yet.
Okay, but he's coming.
Well, yeah, sorry. A little
It's
spoiler.
okay. A little prelude.
Yeah.
It's
He's
okay.
not there yet. Yeah, okay. Okay. I'll keep
Perfect.
reading. Joseph tests his brothers as if it wasn't already kind of a test. I guess wasn't really a test. It was more so observing, right?
Yeah, that's true. I
Yeah.
mean, and you can see the compassion in Joseph too, because like when he saw Benjamin there, he wept. I mean, he
Yeah.
was like so filled with joy that he was still alive
Yeah.
that he cried. I mean,
Misses his
just
family, bro.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. I'm not judging at all.
Hmm.
I mean, that must be like a lot of emotions hitting him.
Yeah. That's his full brother, too. The other ones are all
Right.
half brothers.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The multitude of wives in the Old Testament.
Yeah. Well, Jacob was the one with Rachel. Remember with the wicked father?
Yeah, Leah and
Hmm.
Rachel, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So, okay. Joseph tests his brothers. Then he commanded the steward of his house, fill the men's sacks with food as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. I can't do it, man.
You
I'm so,
got this.
I'm an
Stay
immature
strong.
12-year-old. I'm
Eh,
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest.
It's gonna get you every time, isn't it?
Man, put it in the mouth of the sack. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. All right. With his put it in the mouth of the sack of the youngest with his money for the grain, and he did as Joseph told to him. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away with their donkeys. They had gone only a short distance from the city. Now Joseph said to his steward, "Up, follow after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is it not from this that my Lord drinks, and by this that he practices divination? You have done evil in doing this.'" When he overtook them, he spoke to them these words. They said to him, "Why does my Lord speak such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. Behold, the money that we found in the mouths of our sacks were brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? Whichever of your servants is found with it shall die, and we also will be my Lord's servants." He said, "Let it be as you say. He who is found with it shall be my servant, and the rest of you shall be innocent." Then each man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack, and he searched, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and every man loaded his donkey, and they returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there. They fell before him to the ground. Joseph said to them, "What deed is this that you have done? Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination?" And Judah said, "What shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also in whose hand the cup has been found." But he said, "Far be it from me that I should do so. Only the man in the house whose hand the cup was found shall be my servant. But as for you, go up in peace to your father." Then Judah went up to him and said, "O my lord, please let your servant speak a word in my lord's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." My lord asked his servant, saying, "Have you a father or a brother?" And we said to my lord, "We have a father, an old man, and a young brother, the child of his old age. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him." Then you said to your servants, "Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him." We said to my lord, "The boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die." Then you said to your servants, "Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall not see my face again." When we went back to your servant my father, we told him the words of my lord. And when our father said, "Go again, buy us a little food," we said, "We cannot go down. If our youngest brother goes with us, then we will go down, for we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us." Then your servant my father said to us, "You know that my wife bore me two sons. One left me, and I said, 'Surely he has been torn to pieces, and I have never seen him since.' If you take this one also from me, and any harm happens to him, you will bring down my gray hairs and evil to Sheol. Now therefore, as soon as I come to your servant my father, the boy is not with us. Then as his life is bound up in the boy's life, as soon as he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. And your servants will bring down the gray hairs of your servant our father with sorrow to Sheol. For your servant became a pledge of safety for the boy to my father, saying, 'If I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father all my life.' Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my lord." And they let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear to see the evil that would find my father.
Mm.
That was a
Dang.
mouthful.
Yeah.
But you see how the test was played, and you
Yep.
see how the brothers passed the test.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't, throw Benjamin under the bus or anything like that. They were like, "No, let me take his place instead." I mean, that's kind of a testimony to, you know,
Their
them
growth.
changing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, their growth.
They wouldn't let Benjamin die. They were pleading with Joseph.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole last half of that chapter was them literally pleading, like, don't do this.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that they passed the test for their
yeah,
sake.
yeah. And not only for Benjamin's sake either, but also the sake of their father.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, before they were jealous. They
Right.
wanted to be the favorite.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, 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 we don't want our dad to die.
Yeah.
So they passed.
Awesome. All right. Chapter 45, Joseph provides for his brothers and family. Then Joseph could not control himself before all those who stood by him. He cried, "Make everyone go out from me." So no one stayed with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And he wept aloud so that the Egyptians heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard it. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed at his presence. So standing there in shock, like,
Yeah, yeah, they're like, this guy who's been messing with us is Joseph?
"Yeah, this whole time? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. All the dots in their heads were probably like, "Oh,
Yeah, right?
this is why we've been being messed with."
Yeah. Oh, man. So Joseph said to his brothers, "Come near to me, please." And they came near, and he said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, 'Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, and you shall be near me, you and your children and your children's children, and your flocks, your herds, and all that you have. There I will provide for you, for there are yet 5 years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have do not come to poverty.
Getting goosebumps.
And now your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see, that it is my mouth that speaks to you. You must tell my father of all my honor in Egypt, and of all that you have seen. Hurry and bring my father down here." Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. And he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. After that, his brothers talked with him. When the report was heard in Pharaoh's house, "Joseph's brothers have come," it pleased Pharaoh and his servants. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Say to your brothers, 'Do this: load your beasts and go back to the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come to me, and I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land.' And you, Joseph, are commanded to stay. Do this: Take wagons from the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Have no concern for your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours. The sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the command of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for their journey. To each and all of them he gave a change of clothes, but to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 changes of clothes. To his father he sent as follows: 10 donkeys loaded with the good things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and provision for his father on the journey. Then he sent his brothers away, and as they departed, he said to them, "Do not quarrel on the way." So they went up out of Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to their father Jacob. And they told him, "Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt." And his heart became numb, for he did not believe them. But when they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said to them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. And Israel said, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Wow.
Freaking baller, man.
So cool.
Yeah. The fact too that when Joseph finally revealed himself to his brothers, he he even tells them, he goes, "It wasn't you that sent me away. It was God."
Yeah.
Sometimes when it seems to you like the worst possible thing is happening to you, your brothers sell you into slavery. It's God working his ways.
Yep.
You know, a lot of Christians get really caught up in that. They're like, "Yeah, it's the devil." You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it's not the devil, man.
Right. Yeah, it would be
Sometimes,
so easy to say that his brothers were controlled by the devil and did those things to him, sold him off, and said he was killed. You're right, man. So true.
yeah.
That's so true.
And I mean, like, you know, God works his ways. Did God put that intent in their hearts to sell Joseph off into slavery? Now that's up for debate.
Right.
But ultimately, there was a plan and a purpose, and even maybe out of that evil that happened to, oh gosh darn it, camera zoomed in on my face. Uh,
Golly.
even in that evil, God was like, "I'm going to use this opportunity and make it good, because He doesn't
Yeah.
control us. We have our free
Right.
will.
Right.
So he's this
But
whole
God
time.
does work through people.
That's right, sure does. And this whole time, God was working, and
Yep.
and Joseph did not blame them, but
Right.
rather thanked God. And that's a very interesting place to be. He did not live in bitterness.
Yep. Yeah,
It's
it's a beautiful story so
beautiful,
far.
but you can even see though he definitely had some bitterness in his heart. When
Oh
he
yeah, I
first saw his
mean,
brothers, he spoke
eh,
roughly to
yeah.
them.
And I bet you he prayed about it too.
Oh
He
yeah.
was like, "Lord, give me the words
Yeah.
to talk to them and to just test them and stuff like that." I mean,
hmm
you'd
Yeah,
have
how
to.
do I see if they're still worthy? How do I see if they're worth the time, if they've learned anything? How should I give them compassion? You know?
Yeah, and ultimately like delivered them from the famine and struggle that they were that was about to ensue on them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already 2 years into it, so I could only imagine the struggle already, but 5 more years to come is like,
Yeah. And on top of all that, I mean, at this point, Joseph is literally the governor of Egypt. Like he
yeah,
rules Egypt.
yeah,
And when Pharaoh hears that his family's returned, him and Pharaoh gotta be bros at this point because Pharaoh's like,
y
"Yo, no way, your family's here? We'll give them the
yeah,
best land.
yeah, right?
We
I
got
mean,
the
that's
best
so
place for
cool.
them." Yeah.
I know. I honestly, I didn't wasn't really expecting anything, but I wasn't expecting Pharaoh to be like, "That's so cool," and like rejoice in his
Yeah.
like family's gathering. Like, I don't know. I just love that.
Dude, talk about out of context biblical things, but like, can you imagine a conversation that the two of them had together where he told them about his brothers? Because I'm sure he knows that Pharaoh at this point knows the story of how Joseph ended up in Egypt in the first place.
Right.
So Pharaoh was
Yeah.
probably like, "Yo, man, you want me to get rid of these guys?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I could get rid of them if you want me to." and, and
Yeah.
then, but like, I'm sure they were having conversations like that, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But instead,
Exactly.
he's like, "Oh, cool, you liked him now? Let's hook him up."
Yeah, dude. Best
Yeah,
land.
yeah, best land
Uh,
for you.
yeah, that's awesome. But he did tell Joseph that he would have to remain with Pharaoh, which I don't
Yes.
blame him because he's done some amazing things for Egypt
Oh,
at
are you
this
kidding me? Yeah,
point, you
Pharaoh's
know,
like, "Yeah,
like
yeah, you're not going with him, bro. You're mine."
yeah, they can have it, but you're with me, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Bro,
I mean,
I
how could
hooked
you
you up.
complain?
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't even complain. I'd be like, all right, I mean, you've given
yeah,
me freaking rule over the land, so I don't even
yeah,
care.
yeah.
Like,
I'm doing your job for you.
yeah, yeah, essentially.
Yeah,
That's so
it's like,
cool. And just to see the gifts that God gave Joseph, just like the wisdom and just it's awesome. I
mhm,
love it.
yeah, yeah. The fact that Joseph's heart was not that bitter really is something else.
Yeah.
But you know he was struggling with it. I mean, you know
Oh
he was,
yeah, yeah. Anyone would struggle with that.
yeah. I mean, think about how long he had to contemplate on this too before his heart really was like, "I'm gonna bless these guys."
Right.
Because the travel time back then took forever.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know how
like at
far
least
Canaan is from Egypt, but I think
yeah.
the old Canaan uh in the Bible is like somewhere in the Middle East.
Oh yeah.
And Egypt is still where Egypt is today.
Right.
So I mean, that's a pretty good long distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Huh.
went back what, twice? So he had plenty of time
Yeah.
to really pray about it and hear God's word.
Mhm.
So let's keep reading.
All right.
Joseph brings his family to Egypt. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, "Jacob, Jacob." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's hand shall close your eyes." Then Jacob set out from Beersheba. The sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, their little ones, and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock and their goods, which they had gained in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt. Jacob and all of his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters. All his offspring he brought with him into Egypt. Now, here we go. These are the names of the descendants of Israel.
Yes, I don't have to do this
I
one.
thought for sure you were going to get it. And I was like, I was going to laugh. And I got it.
Oh, that's great.
All right. These are the names of the descendants of Israel who came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben: Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon: Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the sons of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah: Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. Parentheses.
Mm.
And the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Issachar: Tola, Puva, Yob, and Shimron. Yob, it's a funny name. The sons of Zebulun: Sered, Elon, and ja- Jalil. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram, together with his daughter Dinah. Altogether, his sons and daughters numbered 33. The sons of Gad: Ziphion, Hagi, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Orodi, and Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, with Sarah, their sister, and the sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph, and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On, bore to him. And the sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupim, Hupim, and Ard.
Mupim and hoopim.
And Ard.
Ard.
Mupim, Mupin, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. The sons of Dan, Hushim, the sons of Naphtali, Jazil, Guni, Jezer, and Shalem. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt, who were his own descendants, not including Jacob's sons, wives, who were 66 persons in all. And the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70. Jacob and Joseph reunited. He had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to show the way before him in Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. And Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to meet Israel his father in Goshen. He presented himself to him, and he fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face, and know that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and will say to him, my brothers and my father's household, who were there in the land of Canaan, have come to me. And these men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all they have. When Pharaoh calls you and says, 'What is your occupation?' you shall say, 'Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth even until now, both we and our fathers, in order that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians."
Wait, so he's saying, I wasn't talking to you, Siri.
Hmm?
Are you here? Hmm?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Hmm?
Um, so he tells them that they need to tell Pharaoh that they're keepers of livestock, even though Pharaoh thinks that every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. Why?
So shepherds back in the day were kind of known as like pretty gross people.
Mm,
And I don't quote me on this because I'm not sure if this is super accurate or not, but I believe that shepherds used to just wander as well. They would follow their flocks and shepherd them around. So they
right, to
didn't have
different
like
feeding grounds and stuff like that.
right, like it wasn't like now where you have like your own land and everything. You would actually have to go out and travel with your herd. So
Yeah.
shepherds were kind of gross too because you're out there with them all the time. So you're gross because you're around sheep all day long and you're moving around and you're camping
Mm,
out. You're with them all the time. And you got to be with them day and night to protect them from like wolves and everything like that. So
yeah.
they weren't clean. Say that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's actually interesting that I is even if you do have like flocks of sheep and stuff, you still have to shepherd them to different areas to feed.
Hmm.
Um, even like on your own land, like you can't keep them in the same area for too long.
Right.
So, yeah, there's actually my grandparents told me about this TV show. You know Top Gear?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's
So
what
wait,
it's
wait.
called.
British or American?
British.
Good. Okay, cool. That's the right
Yeah.
answer.
One of the guys on there, I don't remember his first name, but his last name's Clarkson.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, so he actually owned 1,000 acres
Yeah.
in the UK, and he started another show called Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but it looks hilarious. He was
It
one of the
is,
best characters on the show.
yeah, dude. Honestly, it is really funny, but it's also super eye-opening because he's coming into this like he knows a lot about cars and vehicles and stuff like that. He knows nothing about running a farm. Absolutely nothing. First tractor he buys, a Lamborghini tractor. It's a massive everyone's telling him, "Oh, that's the tractor you bought?" He's like, "Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty cool." And they're like, "Well, it's pretty big. Like, you don't need anything that big." So he's like, "Why is everybody telling me that?"
I
But
can
anyway,
see him
he
doing that.
ends up buying sheep and he has to hire a shepherdess to shepherd them around on his property.
I can
So,
just hear his voice saying, "I have bought sheep, but I will not keep them." Like,
yeah, he learns so much. It's just so eye-opening too, and you learn about like the issues with sheeps and stuff like that.
mhm.
It's really crazy. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I was just kind of confused why um I think this is Joseph telling them when Pharaoh calls you and says, "What is your occupation?" You shall say, "Your servants have been keepers of livestock." Why would he want that image, like that, to be the image of them to Pharaoh? You know what I mean? If he thinks that being a shepherd is an abomination, is it maybe to keep them like away from Egypt? I don't know. Just a question that kind of popped into my mind.
Let me like read through a little bit because I have an answer, but I don't know if what I'm thinking is right.
Ugh.
I think he's saying it's like that they are shepherds currently, like in Canaan, right? Or were, but when they were in Canaan, that's what their occupation was. And so when Pharaoh, and he's telling him to be honest, right? He's not saying to tell him something different.
Yeah, I guess so.
It says, "Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth, even until now, both we and our fathers." So
Yeah,
I think he's saying that if Pharaoh asks, tell him the truth. But
yeah,
there's like this blessing for Pharaoh because I guess before this, doing that. So it's kind of like putting royalty in charge of doing something that's an abomination to royalty,
mm.
you know?
I guess we'll probably learn more in the next chapter as well,
Right. Yeah.
most
Because I mean, at
likely.
this point, like Joseph is pretty much the royal blood. You know, he's not Pharaoh himself or in that lineage, but I mean, he's governor of Egypt. He's number two,
Right.
and his family is acting like the lowest tier servants,
Mm.
right? So, as
Yeah,
an Egyptian, if you're that powerful, it's kind of putting smut on the name,
right.
you know. So
Yeah.
it'd be like a really rich person today going to a dive bar, you know, instead of a super nice 5-star restaurant.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense. Hmm. Anyway, moving on. 47. Jacob's family settles in Goshen. By the way, you did the most with those names, bro. You killed it.
thank you. I only
Uh,
laughed like twice.
Jacob's family settles in Goshen. So Joseph went in and told Pharaoh, "My father and my brothers, with their flocks and herds and all that they possess, have come from the land of Canaan. They are now in the land of Goshen." And from among his brothers he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, What is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, as our fathers were. They said to Pharaoh, we have come to sojourn in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. And now, please let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best of the land. Let them settle in the land of Goshen. And if you know any able men among them, put them in charge of my livestock.
Boom. There it is.
That's why.
Yep. I should have just kept reading.
Yep.
Yep.
Then Joseph brought in Jacob his father and stood him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Jacob, how many are the days of the years of your life? And Jacob said to Pharaoh, the days of the years of my sojournings are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their sojournings. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. Then Joseph settled his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of the Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with food according to the number of their dependents. Joseph and the famine. Now there was no food in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan in exchange for the grain that they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money was all spent in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? For our money is gone. And Joseph answered, give your livestock, and I will give you food in exchange for your livestock if your money is gone. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for the horses, and the flocks, the herds, and the donkeys. He supplied them with food in exchange for all their livestock that year. And when that year was ended, they came to him the following year and said to him, we will not hide from my lord that our money is all spent. The herds of livestock are my lord's. There is nothing left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for food, and we with our land will be servants to Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and that the land may not be desolate. So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for all the Egyptians sold their fields, because the famine was severe on them. The land became Pharaoh's. As for the people, he made servants of them, from one end of Egypt to the other. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had a fixed allowance from Pharaoh and lived on the allowance that Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their land. Then Joseph said to the people, behold, I have this day brought you and your land for Pharaoh. Now here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And at the harvests you shall give a fifth to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own, as seed for the field, and as food for yourselves and your households, and as food for your little ones. And they said, You shall have saved, or you have saved our lives. May it please my Lord, we will be servants to Pharaoh. So Joseph made it a statute concerning the land of Egypt, and it stands to this day, that Pharaoh should have the fifth, and the land of the priests alone did not become Pharaoh's. Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt and the land of Goshen, and they gained possessions in it, and were fruitful and multiplied greatly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. And when the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, If now I have found favor in your sight, put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal kindly and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. Carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place. He answered, I will do so as you have said. And he said, Swear to me. And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself upon the head of his bed.
I mean, it goes to show with a good ruler, uncorrupt, communism actually kind of works.
Yeah.
Only in desperate circumstances, though, that happened because they were praising
Right.
him for
Yeah.
making them servants, you know?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Otherwise, they
Yeah. I
would have
mean,
just died.
yeah, they would have starved to death. So what
Yeah.
else were they supposed to do?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just further showing Pharaoh that he made the right choice by getting Joseph in there. Because
Right. And he
now,
just got them all the land of Egypt,
literally,
essentially.
all the land, gave them all servants, and has everyone working for them and have everyone happy while doing it too.
Yeah. And now moving forward, they have to give him a fifth of everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's wow.
And they're happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, desperate times call for desperate measures. And in this circumstance, it did work, you know. But once we get to Exodus, you'll quickly see why it's a bad idea to keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna
Quickly.
say a lot of this you can clearly see how this is preluding Exodus, like,
Oh, it leads right into it. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we're almost done with this. I don't know. I think this might be
2
one of
more
the last.
chapters,
Yeah.
or 3, I guess, if you count this one, so 48, 49, 50.
Yeah. Yeah. We're almost there.
Yeah, we can get through this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right. Jacob blesses. So is it Ephraim or Ephraim? Like the name Ephraim?
I would
He's
say a frame just based on what I know, but it could be Ephraim.
Well, Ephraim is a real name. I just don't know if there's a different spelling, like Simeon, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, I couldn't tell you.
I'm going to say Ephraim for now. All right. Jacob blesses Ephraim and Manasseh. Manasseh. After this, Joseph was told, Behold, your father is ill. Your father's ill, boy.
Golly.
All right. Behold, your father is ill. So he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And it was told to Jacob, Your son Joseph has come to you. Then Israel summoned his strength and sat up in his bed. And Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me, and said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make you a company of peoples, and will give this land to your offspring after you for an everlasting possession. And now your two sons, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh should be mine, as Reuben and Simeon are. And the children that you fathered after them shall be yours. They shall be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. As for me, when I came from Padan to my sorrow, Rachel died in the land of Canaan on the way, when there was still some distance to go to Ephrath, and I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem.
Mm.
When Israel saw Joseph's sons, he said, "Who are these?" And Joseph said to his father, "They are my sons, whom God have given me here." And he said, "Bring them to me, please, that I may bless them." Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. So Joseph brought him near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, "I never expected to see your face, and behold, God has let me see your offspring also." Then Joseph removed them from his knees and bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh. Crossing his head, for Manasseh was the firstborn, and he blessed Joseph and said, "The God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life, long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys, and let them my name, and in them let my name be carried on, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth." When Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he took his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, "Not this way, my father, since this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." But the father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. He shall become a people, and he also shall be great. Nevertheless, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his offspring shall become a multitude of nations." So he blessed them that day, saying, "By you, Israel, were pronounced blessings, saying, God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh." Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you, and you will bring again to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you rather than to your brothers one mountain slope that I took from the hand of the Amorites with my sword and with my bow." Jacob really likes picking the youngest child as his favorite.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being Manasseh at that point? Being like, "Oh man, this is my granddad? Crap."
Yeah. Yeah, right?
He's like, "He's a loony old man. He's blind. He can't even
Yeah.
see me."
Yeah. Ugh. All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm already on the next one. Yeah.
All right. Jacob blesses his sons. Then Jacob called his sons and said, "Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall happen to you in days to come. Assemble and listen, O sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the first fruits of my strength, preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power."
Preeminent.
Oh, thank you. Preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power. Unstable as water, you shall not have preeminence, because you went up to your father's bed. Then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Weapons of violence are their swords. Let my soul come not into their counsel. O my glory, be not joined to their company. For in their anger they killed men, and in their willfulness they hamstrung oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Judah, your brothers shall praise you, your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's cub. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He stooped down. He crouched as a lion and as a lioness. Who dares rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until tribute comes to him. And to him shall be the obedience of the peoples, binding his foal to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He has washed his garments in wine and his vesture in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine and his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the shore of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall be at Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey crouching between the sheepfolds. He saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant. So he bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant at forced labor. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels so that his rider falls backward. I wait for your salvation, O Lord. Raiders shall raid Gad. Raiders shall raid Gad, but he shall raid at their heels. Asher's food shall be rich, and he shall yield royal delicacies. Naphtali is a doe let loose that bears beautiful fawns. Joseph is a fruitful bough by a spring. His branches run over the wall. The archers bitterly attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him severely. Yet his bow remained unmoved. His arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. By the God of your father who will help you, by the Almighty who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that crouches beneath, blessings of the breasts and of the womb. The blessings of your father are mighty beyond the blessings of my parents, up to the bounties of the everlasting hills. May they be on the head of Joseph and on the brow of him who was set apart from his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, in the morning devouring the prey, and at the evening dividing the spoil. Not gonna lie, I didn't understand a lot of that, but that's all
Yeah,
right.
I'm not sure I know what he's talking about with some of these. Like, is being the snake a good or a bad thing in this circumstance? Because he's so
Yeah,
strong that all he has to do is bite at the feet of the horse to dismount the rider, or is that like a bad thing?
I mean, it kind of sounds like a good thing in that context, but
What I do
I
know
don't know.
is that he was singing the blessings to Judah, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that that's the bloodline that Jesus comes from.
Mm. Anyway, Jacob's death and burial.
Anyway,
It's okay. We can recap it later.
yeah.
Jacob's death and burial. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. This is what their father said to them as he blessed them, blessing each with the blessing suitable to him. Some of those didn't sound like blessings, to be honest.
Oh no, not at all, dude. The first two brothers? You kidding me?
Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, oof.
He's like, may my soul not comfort them.
Yeah. Uh. Then he commanded them and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field at Machpelah, to the east of Mamre,
Uh,
and in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite to possess as a burying place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave that is in it were bought from the Hittites. When Jacob finished commanding his sons, he drew up his feet into the bed and breathed his last and was gathered to his people.
the death of Jacob, so sad.
Hey
The
man, he
man
lived a
literally
long
wrestled with
time.
God
Yeah. That and isn't that so cool? That's such a cool revelation that he actually wrestled with God.
physically.
Yeah.
Wrestled with God.
And that's how he got the name Israel.
Yeah. What was it that he broke? His like collarbone or something?
No, his the sinew of his hip joint.
His hip. Yeah.
So yeah, so I actually was just reading that in the daily Bible study is that's why um I guess the Israelites don't eat like the sinew of pork or something like that because of that reason.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I eat pork.
Yeah, well, it was like a specific part of it, like the sinew of the thigh or something like that, because God touched Israel's or Jacob's thigh in that place, and that's why they don't eat specifically from that area of the. I think it was the pig. I don't think it was all beasts. I think it was just the pig.
Huh.
But anyway,
Weird.
yeah, I do remember that. It was the sinew of the thigh specifically. He like walked away like limping because his hip was out of socket or his leg was out of his hip socket.
Yeah. I thought your collar. Yeah, I was thinking collar. I guess collarbone's lower back more so, right? Where is collarbone?
Your collarbone's up in your like
Oh,
chest.
oh.
That's
What's
where
that
your
big like
neck.
paddle bone in your back? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what it's called.
Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. All right. We'll just keep going. Not a biologist over here.
Yeah, right.
All right. Genesis 50, the last one. Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. That's like mummification. So the
Yeah.
physicians embalmed Israel. 40 days were required for it, for that is how many are required for embalming. And the Egyptians wept for him 70 days. And when the days of weeping for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, I am about to die in my tomb that I hewed out for myself in the land of Canaan. There you shall bury me. Now therefore let me please go up and bury my father. Then I will return. And Pharaoh answered, Go up and bury your father as he has made you swear. So Joseph went up to bury his father. With him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his household, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, as well as the household of Joseph, his brothers, and his father's household. Only their children, their flocks, and their herds were left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him in both chariots and horsemen. It was a very great company. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, they lamented there with a very great and grievous lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days. When the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning on the threshing floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning by the Egyptians. Therefore the place was named Abel Mizraim. It is beyond the Jordan. Thus his sons did for him as he had commanded them. For his sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field at Machpelah, to the east of Mamre, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephraim to the Hittite to possess as a burying place. After he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers and all who had gone up with him to bury his father. God's good purposes. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "It may be that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all the evil that we did to him." So they sent a message to Joseph, saying, "Your father gave this command before he died. Say to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin because they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father." Joseph wept when they spoke to him. His brothers also came and fell down before him and said, "Behold, we are your servants." But Joseph said to them, "Do not fear me, for I am in the place of God. Do not fear me, for am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. So do not fear. I will provide for you and your little ones." Thus he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. The brothers are still feeling bad about that, man.
I
Still
know. Yeah,
afraid.
I thought he made it pretty clear that he had forgiven them.
Well, I mean, that's their thinking though when the father died. It's like the only reason Joseph was keeping him alive was to not upset the father.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, that's a pretty rough thing. So they're just not as pure as Joseph, maybe.
Yeah.
The death of Joseph. So Joseph remained in Egypt, he and his father's house. Joseph lived 110 years, and Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were counted as Joseph's own. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land to the land that he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." Then Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, "God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here." So Joseph died, being 110 years old. They embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
Wow. Man, these guys be
So,
living to be pretty old.
yeah.
But it is interesting to see that, like, reading over like Genesis over the whole course of it, that like the life expectancy gets shorter and shorter, like every generation, it seems like.
Yeah, well, I mean, that I think it's mentioned earlier in Genesis. There like came a point when God decided to shorten the lifespan of humans.
Yeah, I think that was after like Noah or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, because Noah lived pretty long.
Yeah.
Mm.
But anyway, what a great story. I
I'm about to
mean,
say, what do you think? Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Definitely
yeah,
very eye-opening as well. Just like the blessings that Joseph got, and it's just, I don't know. That's all I have to say about it, man. It's just a great story.
yeah. That's one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the things that I take away from it is just that in adversity, you really have to put your faith in God, because it's real easy to think that when something bad is happening to you, that God's not with you anymore, or maybe God isn't real, you know, all these things. But that's just not the case.
Right.
You got to
Yeah,
keep your faith.
you gotta look for the future and seeing what God's plan is for your life. You
Hmm.
know, like you said, it's not that he's away from you or anything, but we're all gonna have to go through our own tribulations, and that helps us grow stronger and as people, but also stronger in faith, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully, as you just gotta keep that faith strong.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I think that's a good wrap up.
Yes, sir.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. So,
All right.
How are we supposed to end these videos?
Uh, pretty sure we're supposed to say like and subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. But like I don't want to do something like cliche, where like it's like, oh, smash that like button. Like we can't be doing that.
Yeah, no, but when you say it, you got to actually say it like smash that like button. You can't.
It just sounds cheesy though, because like people always say it and they're always doing, I'll smash that like button.
Yeah, but it's not. You're saying it wrong though. It's smash that like button.
I am saying it just like you're saying it, Bryce. Smash that like button.
No, you got to use your chest more. You gotta say smash
Smash that like button.
No, that's no.
Because I sound exactly like you.
No, you
It's like,
don't.
thank you guys for liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you were interested, please tune back in next week. We are dropping new videos on Mondays and Thursdays. And God bless y'all.
Yeah. Also, don't forget to smash that like button.
Do any of that. Gosh, dang it, man.
God bless.
God bless y'all.